Ma'am, you are acting in the latest series of Dabba Cartel, where you are depicted as a character Sheila Ben, and who is leading a gang controlling these drugs. So it's a very different role. But you have done a role in Godmother
Yes.
as a gang leader. How do you compare this?
Actually, the series is called Dabba Cartel and it's being released on Netflix. It was created by my daughter-in-law,
Oh, yeah.
Shivani Dandekar Akhtar, and it's being produced by Excel, which is Asan's company. So obviously, when she told me, I had to say yes without thinking.
Yeah.
But after that, when I started working on the character, I had to see that the central challenge would be to make it separate from Rambi Bin
Yeah.
of Vinay Shukla's godmother. But it's written in a way which is completely different because these are not really women who are gangsters. They are very ordinary women who are, you know, distributing food in dabbas, which is a very, very common thing in Bombay, in Mumbai.
Yeah, Mumbai.
Yeah. And how they fall into this because of circumstances. Sheila Ben, you know, uh, I don't like it being posited by a woman's gangster films. You have to see them as characters who really have fallen into this situation and then they are negotiating their lives through this very complicated challenge that they've received. Sheila Ben is different from Rambhi because she's given up this about 20, 30 years ago. And then circumstances propel her into starting that, and then she starts enjoying the taste of blood, actually, she gets, and then she leads them. But I hope that I have managed to make it different from Rambi. Rambi was much more of a leader who was out there. This is, working uh, with her daughter-in-law and with these women, with 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 cunning, but doing it in a way which is assertive. There is a dialogue which has now become very, uh, it's gone viral, where when I'm negotiating with the drug dealer, I said, "माल तुम्हारा होगा, लेकिन market मेरा है." It might be your uh, your things, but the market is mine. I know it. So there's a quiet assertiveness to her and a strength which nobody had suspected that she had because she was leading an almost nondescript life before this.
In Kerala, we have a big problem of drug abuse and drug addiction in the new generation. And there is a murder happened. A 23-year-old boy killed 5 people, relatives, including grandmother, brother, and his mother was seriously injured. After killing them, he went to the bar and had drinks, and he went to the police and surrendered. He was taking drugs, synthetic drugs. So that's a big menace in Kerala. So you have acted in this as a godmother and also in godmother and also in Dabha Kaathal. What's your message to the younger generation?
It is not in any way encouraging drugs because we are very cognizant of the fact that any messaging that would lead to people being encouraged to take drugs would be absolutely the wrong thing to do in our society because children and youngsters are susceptible. It is about the complications that arrive, that get a whirlpool of these complications these women have to face and how they're negotiating their way through it. And they realize that this is a very dangerous game. And when it reaches the climax, the girl who plays my Bahu, my daughter-in-law, goes almost crazy. And that, for Rambi, is sort of, obviously it's a cliffhanger, but like I told you, it is not at all encouraging of youngsters taking drugs.
Did you think that there are a lot of movies glorifying drug addiction,
Not
even in
really.
Malayalam?
And I don't know. I haven't seen drug addiction. I mean, it is obviously a issue that calls for conflict and drama, but I don't think any film so far. Firstly, there haven't been so many films, at least in Hindi, and in no way do they glorify drugs. That would be a crime in today's world. And it
Do
shouldn't
you
be
think there is a kind of mafia, international mafia, playing in major cities in India? It's doing in Kerala, like Cochin and Trivandrum, and all the channels have and the newspapers have come out strongly in these days.
that. But isn't it basically a law? Isn't it a, a, a sort of situation where the police, where the state, where laws against this and severe punishment should be what we should seek? But I think parents feel quite helpless because they don't know how to deal with it, and it leads to stealing, and it leads to telling lies, and it leads to almost a psychological, uh, distemper. So we have to be very, very careful
In
about
the
that.
N. Ramachandran Foundation award ceremony, you were telling about boys. Girls are taught, but mothers never say boys. Boys are not disciplined. So, do you think that
It's not just about being disciplined, it is about being entitled. We raise our children in a way that, all right, so we are teaching our girls today to say, all right, ask for your rights. But we are raising our sons in a way that they're entitled from birth because of the sheer fact that they're born male. All the considerations that are given, all the money that is saved away for their education, all the things happen because there's still this mindset that the girl will go away. She will go away to her house, which is with her in-laws and her husband. It's the son who look after them in their old age. That's not what is happening at all. Because I've been in and out of hospitals a lot because my mother was ailing for a long time, and I always saw that either it was the daughter or the daughter-in-law who was taking care. This notion that the boy is better because he is going to be the one that's going to look after you in your old age is simply not holding true anymore.
taking to your 50 years of acting, you easily navigated between the Bollywood commercial cinema and parallel cinema. It's not easy, it's two worlds. So, how do you could go through two worlds and how do you compare it?
I don't think I was very conscious of that choice that I made, but it's in retrospect when I think about it, I realized the reason I did it is because I thought that it would be helpful to the alternative cinema if I became a star in the commercial terms. And films were coming my way. It's not as if I chased them. They were coming my way, and some of them became very successful. But after a while, I did realize that just being the Bollywood heroine, is not going to work for me. Even within the mainstream commercial cinema, I would have had to find parts that are substantial. And then the phase of the 80s came into my career where I was playing um, Arth and Avatar and Masoom. I think it's also a nice thing to do because then it elongates your career because you're already playing the characters. The difference between how mainstream films were made at that time and what was being done in alternative cinema was like two completely different words, completely divorced from
Which
each other.
was more satisfying for you?
See, satisfying definitely alternative cinema because there were substantial parts, there were roles, there were layers, all of which I could explore. But frankly, mainstream cinema was more challenging because how do you bring any credibility into a character that is just so surface? I always say the circumstances in which we made our film, there have been times when Rajesh Khanna and I have done the first part, the first page of a scene, while the second page onwards is being written by the writer who's also an actor in another studio. And only when it comes, then we know what the dialogue is going to be. I keep challenging that let any actor in Hollywood try to negotiate that, and they just wouldn't be able to do it. So there is a willing suspension of disbelief that is required in mainstream cinema, and that to me has always been more challenging. For instance, when I did um, Karan Johar's Rocky or Rani, Ki Prem Kahani, it was a complete departure from the parts that I had done. And yet I had to bring a certain authenticity to her, and uh, I had to make sure that she wasn't seen as as a vamp, because here she's in pursuit of love, and she's in pursuit of her soulmate. And I think that happens quite successfully. To Karan's credit, it was extremely well written. So, because it was well written, and I was also very surprised at the way I was dressed in it, because it was Manish Malhotra who just said, no, no, just because you're a Bengali woman, it doesn't mean that you wear the traditional Indian sari and the bindi and all that. So, I remember the first scene that I was doing, I was cooking in the kitchen, and I had such long hair open and a silk sari. So I told Karan, I said, Karan, please, which woman is going to leave her hair open and cook? The khana will get ruined with her hair. This is crazy. I can't wear silk sari and leave my hair open. He said, you can do it because it's a Karan Johar film.
Yeah.
And then I surrendered to him, and once I surrendered, like I said, it's a willing disbelief. It's a willing suspension of disbelief.
It was easy for you to be a silver screen star celebrity, but to take a social activism path, it's a tough path and it is a very dangerous path. You fought against that demolition of slums. That was, I think, in 1985. So,
86,
yeah. If you take 40 years, you are fighting. So, how do you feel? You coming from the silver screen to the slums, was
Because
it a very tough path for you?
I was raised in an environment where my parents, Kefi Azmi, the noted film writer and lyricist, and my mother, theatre actress Shaukat Kefi, believed that art should be used as an instrument for social change. So I think it took some time coming, but it would be inevitable because I feel that an actor's resource must be life itself. And you can't just be in your air conditioned comfort and not look at the life that's happening around you. And I remember there was a poem of my father's called Makan, which is about the irony of a construction worker who, with his blood and sweat, makes this beautiful building. And when the building is complete, he's not allowed to enter the very building that he's made, and a chowkidar is kept at the door. And my father says, wake up, rise, some window will definitely open. So that poem used to have a very deep effect on me. Then my mother used to help a woman called Kamlabai who used to live, uh, you know, in a building under the stairs, and she was sending her children to school and English school and all that. And my mother sometimes would take me along because if I had to go somewhere else, I'd say that And I used to say, how can a human being live like that under the stairs of a building? It's so inhuman. Then I used to see demolitions happening in Mumbai, particularly during the rains. And I used to find it outrageous that this can be done to human beings. But like everybody else, I also thought, oh my God, if we don't demolish the slums, then they'll go on encouraging more people to come and live like that. And then I realized that unless people get proper employment in the village itself, they will continue to come to the city in search of work, not in search of housing. Work they get, but they don't get housing. And and the fact that we, the middle class and the upper middle class, we use them for cheap labor. The boy who brings in your newspaper, the boy who brings in your milk in the morning, the maid who looks after your children so you can go out and have a very comfortable workplace. All that happens because these people are living in the slums. We cannot have a one way relationship with them. Say that we'll employ you for cheap labor, but then any other human consideration is not to be thought of. And that's when I realized that demolishing slums is not the answer. Upgrading them is. And making, you know, the government should make bank of land in which they can provide subsidized housing for the economically weaker sections. So once I started understanding that, then of course I went on a hunger strike for 5 days, and nobody had ever seen a film actress doing that. And there was much
Recently, you
outward.
shared a photo of that.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because my mother was, it used to kill her because every day she would hear that I'm losing weight or my blood pressure is not good, and she would be very, very terrified. My father wasn't in town, but she would come to the site and she would, raise slogans. And I just thought that kind of support is so wonderful. Then on the fourth day, she got really worried and she called my father, trunk call, etc. उस वक्त होता था. So she said, see, this is what your daughter is doing and please come back, and I just can't deal with this and she's not listening to me, etc. The next day, I got a telegram from my father saying, best of luck, comrade. And that was it, that was it. So it then, that experience for me and greater involvement with the slum dwellers opened my mind to many, many injustices that are happening. And then, of course, women was always my concern. I was raised in a family where women and men were treated exactly equal. So at one point, what happened is my father was working in the village in which he was born, called Mijwa, and I was working in the slums. So it intersected beautifully because then I joined my father, because my father used to say, Abba used to say, that they need to get employment in the village itself. The village needs to have all the basic comforts that people need to lead a human life. And that's when I became, started working with Mijwa. And after he passed away, I became the president of Mijwa Welfare Society.
You were fighting as a social activist, also in Rai Sabha as a member of the parliament. You were fighting against communalism, and
Yes.
you were dreaming of a secular India.
Yeah.
So now there is communalism is increasingly getting more what you call
It's being
support.
fanned. It's being fanned. It's being fanned because it is being used as a way of, creating hate and emotion against each other, and then with an eye on the electorate, on the with their
Do
eye
you,
on the
do you think
vote
there is a conspiracy behind?
back. Well, see, first, before I talk about the conspiracy and all that, I have to say that, you know, majority and minority communalism are mirror images of each other. And we need to oppose both. What is happening is every fight is being posited as a fight between the Hindu and the Muslim, the Hindu and the Sikh, the Hindu and the Christian. What should actually happen is that the Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, and Christian liberals, they should all come together to fight against the fundamentalists, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, and Christian, rather than posit it as a Hindu and a Muslim problem. So, also, what is happening is with the minority community, of course, they are in the worst position that they have been. But what happens is it is the Maulvis, the mullahs, and people that have that are not thinking of the community at all, but it's a way of getting power. They are not able to provide the basic roti, kapda, or makan. That's what an individual needs. Now, as a leader, you've not been able to provide that, but you can definitely rouse sentiments, and that they do. And it is the ordinary Muslim who is then victimized for it. I think that this is happening not just in India, it's happening in the entire world, and it's happening in the world more and more, and it's being done under the pretext of nationalism. Now, there's a lot of difference between nationalism and patriotism. The two are being mixed together. Nationalism, for me, is an India within a geographical space that binds people together. And how does that happen? Is through the Constitution of India, which is one of the best constitutions that we have anywhere in the world. And the basic pillars are secularism and social justice, irrespective of caste, class, gender, or religion.
How do you see the future of India? Especially the communal forces are getting more support, and the secular forces are going behind.
So it is a challenging period. If we really understand that it is a fight between the liberals and the communalists, and then start uniting as a group, then we will be able to challenge it. And I think the political parties are all all using the communal card as a way of winning votes. And that's against the very constitution of India.
The opposition parties are divided, and BJP, who is ruling India, they are standing together. Don't you think that the secular votes are divided in India?
Yes, of course. Of course, that's how it happens all over the world. I mean, just look at what Trump is saying. And how is he getting away with it? It's supposed to be the biggest democracy in the world. I cannot even believe the things that he's doing and the things that he's getting away with.
Not only in America, in Germany it happened days back.
Germany, Italy.
So all countries are thinking of themselves only. They don't have a world view of things.
But it's about staying in power, right? It's about retaining power and staying in power. But why should power be misused like that? The actual the actual benefit of power should be that you share power equally so that other human beings also benefit from that. What is the point of power if it only becomes about the oppressors oppressing the weak even further? That's not power. And that's what the women's movement is asking for successfully. That we need to redefine the very notion of power itself.
You received 5 national awards. Usually, it's very rare actors getting 5 national awards. Some way you get 1 or 2 awards. How do you feel that? How do you rate yourself?
No, I feel that as an actor, I have been lucky to be at the right place at the right time. Yeah, I could have had as much talent as I'm supposed to have today. But if the circumstances were not right, then it would be a closely guarded secret, right? But 5 national awards and 3 of them in a row, and share it, and who has exactly the same record? My husband. Javed Akhtar has won 5 national awards and 3 of them in a row. Where does that happen? I mean, it's like it's something to be very, very grateful for.
Do you feel a kind of a moral support from your family? Like
Very much.
Your father, mother?
Very much. I couldn't have done everything that I did had it not been for it. I remember when I decided that I'm going to now go to acting school. So I told him, I said, Abba, I would like to be an actress. Will you support me? And I will never forget what he said. He said, Bete, I will support you in anything you decide. Tomorrow, if you decide that you want to become a shoemaker, a mochi, I will support that too.
It's very magnanimous.
Yes, that provided you tell yourself that you will try and be the best shoemaker in the business.
That's great.
Now, if you've got that kind of support from your father, what else do you need? My mother has always been supportive. Javed has been extremely, extremely supportive. And my brother is very supportive. My sister-in-law is, because it's a very close-knit family. But to have a spouse who understands and who supports you is a huge, huge thing. I don't think I would have been able to do any of the things that I'm doing had it not been for such support. And I always say that about Javed, that, when you look at us, we are not like a stereotypical husband and wife. He does his own thing, I do my own things. I don't do any of the things. I don't pack his bags and I don't sew buttons on his shirt. I don't do any of that.
You're not the traditional woman.
I'm not the traditional woman. He doesn't even expect it of me. And he's not the traditional man of the house either. And I accept that. But if I am in the slightest trouble, he gets up like a cobra and is there, protects me and says, don't you dare try anything. Now, can you imagine how much support that is it from your partner? Because half the time you're fighting with your partner only. And here, he is giving you the same kind of support that your father had given you, that your mother had given you. So I am really, really very fortunate.
How do you rate the Malayalam movies?
Oh, they're lovely. And not only me, it's not only me. All over India, there's become a huge consciousness that Malayalam films are offering different content. See, that's the most important thing, to offer content. Most of the time we're just running after box office, what we think is a box office formula. But there isn't any formula, otherwise everybody would be making the same kind of film. But within that, the different content is coming up in Malayalam cinema. And now, because of OTT, it is becoming much more accessible because there are also subtitles, which helps. And there's a growing admiration for Malayalam cinema.
And before the West took on same-sex relationships,
Yes,
Malayalam took the Padmarajan doing the Sadhanakali Karayarilla.
that's right.
That was a movie shot 30 or 40 years back. And only West, and you acted in Fire.
Yeah.
What was the reaction that the project was on? Because it was against the traditional way of relationships.
You know, when the film was released, for 3 weeks it did extremely well. Till one political party decided to use it again as a tool for electoral gain. And then they attacked the theatres and they did all kinds of things and all that. And so the film was was removed from the theatres.
Even in the International Film Festival here, huge crowd was flocking to see the movie.
You know, but then just see, look at Malayalam cinema and look at Mammootty being such a huge star, apart from being such a glorious actor, doing a part that is not as obvious,
As
but
a gay.
the film he's done with Jyotika,
Jyotika.
and actually producing that film, challenging the very notion of being this supreme male macho hero. I'm absolutely gobsmacked and have nothing but the highest respect
Did you talk to Mammootty?
for him. I didn't talk. I was with Jyotika. She had arranged a screening, and her husband Surya had also come. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I just kept thinking, he's such a big star. He doesn't need to
Usually
do
nobody
something
do
like that.
it.
Who would do that? You know, produce that film. Amazing.
So you think that the superstars in Malayalam movie, they are ready to do such kind of characters?
I don't think it's...
Many won't do.
Yeah, because it's not so easy to do. You definitely have to make a conscious decision, because I think it's very important that we don't judge people on their preferred sexual choices. I mean, there are many more things to them, and they are asking to be normalized. And every minority is asking to be normalized, actually. So it is for us. When we don't accept, then we are the people with the limited vision. And so when you make it more visible, it's the part towards normalizing.
What's your message for the young actors coming into Indian movies? They have very tough path because they have to keep their integrity, and also they have to act. There are a lot of things happening in the Indian cinema.
See, firstly, I think that you should not look for a career in acting. Just because you have a pretty face and just because you can dance well, that is no reason to join the industry. Don't join the industry for fame and for glamour, because actually it's not glamorous. Yeah, the perks are glamorous, but the actual process of acting and working in a film is very, very tedious. There are long periods of waiting between one shot and the next, and so many more things. You should do it only if you feel that if I didn't do it, I will die. So it should come with real passion. Now, once it comes with real passion, you have to make yourself very strong, because you can get rejected every single day. Okay. Now, if you were looking for any other job, maybe in 5 offices you won't get work, but with your qualifications you will get work in the 6th office. Now, over here, even if your film has been very successful, you've got 2 successful films, you feel it's all sorted. After that, you have 4 flop films, you are completely, you go down. You have to have a very, very strong heart for that. But for that, you have to work hard. You cannot think that I'll act like Shah Rukh Khan, I'll act like Amitabh Bachchan, I'll act like Hrithik Roshan, and it'll be done. Because that is imitative behavior. What acting demands of you is to find all the emotions within yourself, because an actor is her own instrument. See, when you're playing the sitar, the quality will depend on the skill of your fingers, but also the state of the sitar. But an actor is her own instrument. It is her body, it is her brain, it is her heart, and it is her experience. So we have to constantly work to to expand our lives experiences so that you are able to empathize and understand the characters that you're playing.
You did very strong roles of women characters who challenge the status quo of the society, the societal norms. It was your decision to do that,
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
and you are
See,
happy about it.
I'm very, very happy about it. I had to say no to a lot of work, but when I said that, I had absolutely no qualms. What was I missing out? Money. That's all right. That's perfectly all right, because if you are sacrificing a lot of money to do a film which doesn't offer you money but gives you an opportunity to make a film that is meaningful, that is making the audiences sit up and take notice, that is honing your own acting abilities, then that's worth it.
We were speaking on the national scenario. What about the international scenario where you know that we were speaking about women? Women and children are killed in Palestine. And as an activist or who have a vision on the international scenario, how do you see these things? Wars are happening in between Israel and Palestine. Ukraine war is there for 3 years.
But the whole thing is based on pure injustice. It's based on pure injustice, and then somebody like Trump says, I'm going to create a French Riviera
in Gaza.
In Gaza, I'm going to create a French Riviera. But I just cannot understand how this can be and how it is being overlooked completely. There are so many Westerners who've come up in protest against it, and the film industry, particularly in Hollywood, has spoken out very, very strongly against it. But this is what we do. Look at apartheid. For how many years there was open apartheid in South Africa, and yet people were trading with them, yet people were doing business. It required all the might of somebody like Nelson Mandela, who spent 28 years in prison fighting.
Yeah.
So
In
we
South
need
Africa.
that leadership, but it is absolutely inhuman. And why should women and children, completely innocent, why should they be sacrificed with such brutality?
70% of the people died,
It is
killed, were
just-
women and children.
It is just horrific. What gain can you get from it? Even if you want to usurp somebody's land, what gain can you get of killing women and children? It's inhuman.
And finally, how do you feel? You are in Kerala. How do you feel? You are coming number of times in Kerala. And
I love Kerala. I love Kerala. I find the people here very, very warm towards me, very respectful, very affectionate. You know, that is obviously very reassuring for an artist. But I just, because my father's been a communist, so I've sort of grown up in the atmosphere of communism, and so that is something that the saris are very beautiful.
are you
And,
happy with the communism in India and Kerala now?
You know, if we're talking about success and failure, then they have not been successful. They haven't been
Why it is?
successful.
Because we have a lot of, almost 30 or 40% of the people are poor people. And communist ideology is with the marginalized and the poor people. Even Arvind Kejriwal, a single person could come to power in Delhi, but never a communist party could come to power in.
But the Communist Party also has done a lot of work. Look at what Jyoti Basu did for 25 years rule. Look at what he did with land reforms.
But when he went, it was all washed away and Mamata Banerjee came to
But so
power.
what is it that you are suggesting? You're suggesting that there should be one perfect party that should live for 100 years. It doesn't happen.
But what happens in the West Bengal, Tripura, and Kerala, communist parties were in power. Now they lost West Bengal and Tripura. It's not growing and it's coming down.
So it'll come back again.
You think?
Because that is what happens with every single party. There is no one party. I mean, the Congress for the long time that it ruled was
they're
an
same with
exception.
Congress.
But it was an exception. But now, I don't think anybody can boast that they are going to rule for another 30 years. And that will keep happening, and it has to be resisted. You see, just by pointing fingers, is it going to solve the problem? Are you with the problem or the solution? So what is it that you yourself are doing? You are doing your work, you're doing it as a journalist, you're raising the questions, you're bringing awareness about it. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं हो सकता politics में कि one party will continue to rule. What they have done in the time when they were in power, what they're doing when they're in hibernation, all these things will determine. ऐसा नहीं है कि when you're out of political power as such a vote bank power, you stop doing your work. You have to continue doing that. You have to continue winning people's trust, and it's a struggle, and it will continuously be a struggle.
Do you think that the secular forces should come together? For example, the Congress, the communists, Mamata, but they're all fighting each other.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the writing on the wall. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to say yes, all the secular parties should come together.
It's not easy.
But that really is what is required.
ശ്രീമതി ഷബ്ന ആസ്മി സംസാരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു ഹൃദയം തുറന്ന് സിനിമയെക്കുറിച്ച്, രാഷ്ട്രീയത്തെക്കുറിച്ച്, ഇന്ത്യയുടെ ഭാവിയെക്കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ. താങ്ക് യു ഷബ്ന ആസ്മി.
Thank you.